I keep all mine safe.
I had to do 4 hours of work today.
We're recording or live? Well, we're continuing around the country, going through over and unders for the AFC, NFC. We've covered the North and we've covered the West. And I did open it up to our listeners, Maddie, to ask us anything if they want us to field any questions, our thoughts, or just general guidance.
Yeah, we get some hate.
So we got a hit on Instagram.
Okay.
At Journey Leadman said, I don't want to hear about the Olympics. I want AB for my over-under picks for the year. Thank you. Love, Steve.
Oh,
so AB, welcome back. No one better to close it out with.
I'm not sure that's not really his Instagram name.
It might be.
That's my burner.
We need AB. We can't kick the season off otherwise. The season can't start. Yeah.
So next week we're going to have our first FanDuel lineup. We've also got a few guests lined up for upcoming shows. So keep them coming. We're excited. But let's kick it off. Let's start in the South, the AFC and NFC South. Maddie, any way you want to go?
Nope. It's your show.
All right. All right, Alex, we need to hear it. Texans, they're the talk of the town. People having their Super Bowl pick and everything. The line is 9.5.
Over. Confident on them. I think that they're a championship team or Super Bowl team with that offense. If the defense can click, they're in.
Maddie, any thoughts on the Texans?
9. No, same. Over. It's a good team. It wasn't a there was nothing unsustainable about how they found success last year.
Yep.
And I think there's an argument to be made that we just saw Stroud's ceiling last year. Like, that's the best you're going to see from him. He was never this guy.
Agree.
None of that was like, and he just like rose up and met the challenge. So, but they've loaded up everywhere else. I mean, their third receiver is Diggs now. That's such a luxury. You're only going to get that many snaps out of him anyway. So yeah, same as AB. They're just too good. They're balanced.
And you get Mixon in town now, and I think that he can be a better pass catching back, and that team will run a lot more slot or slant plays. So he's going to be in. From a fantasy perspective, I'll stay away from them, but for over.
Yep.
Yeah, and looking at their schedule too, I went over. It's 9.5. I had them at 11 wins, and that was losing some either-or games too, right? But their home games they have against Baltimore, against the Dolphins, also against the Bills. So like some of those out of division home games could play a factor in getting them well over the 9.5. But yeah, I mean, and their defense, Will Anderson is just like he was just starting to hit his ceiling, or hit what he, I think he's going to become at the end of last season. And then Stingley's a top 5 corner, so like they're going to be able to take the ball away. D'Amico Ryan seems like he's a good coach. He seemed like it when he was a coordinator. I'm bullish on them.
Good leader, good voice, but like good presence too. Like those teams aren't flash from the pan. Those teams.
No, there was never panic. There was never like super rah-rah. He was even. You
know how I know that team's elite? Every year for the Patriots season tickets, they bucket the games into 3 buckets: elite and like all-star or whatever. And elite is the top one. There's usually 2 games in there, home games every year. And they are, without a doubt, the most expensive ticket, hardest ticket to get, etc. And the Texans are one of those 2 games this year. And the Patriots know how to fill that place. They've had unlimited opportunities to like A/B test. You're welcome. How much to test it. So Texans all the way. I think the Texans win the Super Bowl. We just decided.
They could. They're one of those teams. Let's go to a team that will not win the Super Bowl. The Titans. The Titans at 6.5. I went under. I just think it's first year of a rebuilding process, and it's going to be. And I don't know that Will Levis is going to be the guy that is going to bring them back to the playoffs. Maybe one year. I don't think he's terrible, but I don't think he's the guy. And they have too many holes across the rest of their roster. Alex, where are you at on the Titans?
I don't want to besmirch Nashville because it's one of my favorite cities, but I'm going under as well. There's nothing exciting about that team.
There goes that Tootsie's sponsorship we were banking on. Well, Gibby, NAB. They're the worst team in the division. We agree.
Yes.
How much worse are they than the Colts?
I don't think a lot worse.
Colts have a little more star power now, I would say, a little more firepower. But
I ask because they're not going to win either of the games against Houston or Jacksonville.
I don't think so. And let's go right to the Colts, right? Their over-under, I was astonished. I think this is crazy, is 8.5. I couldn't find a way past, I was struggling to get to 6 wins for him.
You're not an Anthony Richardson guy, right?
No, it's not that him. It's just I don't know that he's going to play more than 10 games.
And yeah, he's going to get injured or concussed again, right?
I mean, also he started 10 games in the last 3 years. I don't think he's going to be really good. I think it's more or less just he's very unproven. He's got to there's a wide range of variables.
He's going to come to a fork in the road by the end of this year, and one way goes towards just to Hurts, and one way goes to Fields.
Yeah,
and there's no other outcomes for him. So yeah, I get it. I don't know much about their defense. The schedule is brutal. They got to go to Denver in the middle of December.
Oh, imagine
the Broncos are fighting to get to 500 desperately. So, that's no easy task. No, it's not a good team. I like Steichen. I like the coach. I don't know if I'm ready to believe in Richardson, and Taylor is obviously not the same guy. And they've got a bunch of nice receivers, but I don't think it's a good enough team to do anything.
I agree.
Taylor is still ranked high in the top, 15 backs in the league coming in, which is crazy to me.
Millie Boys won't be using him often because he's going to lose a bunch of touchdowns to Richardson, but people are still going to have to pay up for him. No way.
Yeah, that being said, if Richardson is at the right spot in the right matchup, I'm definitely using him in the Millie Boys lineups. You want a quarterback that can run.
Well, we had this conversation last year before he got hurt. We were we should start thinking about using this guy. He's a cheat code before his price got up there. But yeah. Yep.
That leaves us with the Jaguars, 8.5. Alex, where are you at with them?
I don't know a ton about them this year. Just if I go a lot on last year and Lawrence's play and some of, a little bit of a lacking receiver core, I'm going to lean towards under. That's just my gut on this one.
Maddie, what do you think of them? Is this the defining moment for Trevor Lawrence, this year?
Yeah. This is well, yes and no. They paid him. So
Right.
What they give him 4 years? What was the deal?
I think so. It was probably 4 years guaranteed.
So he's got a 2-year grace period before anybody starts. He'd have to have 2. The thing is, he gets a bad rap. He's not bad. He's just not what everybody wants him to be. He is probably the 10th to 14th best quarterback in the league, and there's no room for anything outside that. That's just what he is.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't really love that team. 8.5 seems right, though. That's the hardest one, I think, in this division to me. I could see them winning 9 games. I could also see them winning 8. I'm going to go over because I don't believe in Indy and I already forgot the other team in this division. Tennessee. I don't believe in those teams. So that means by default I've got to give Jacksonville some of those wins, and I don't think their schedule is difficult elsewhere. So I'll go over, but not emphatically. 9-7. It really bothers me we don't have 16, an even number of games anymore.
I know it does. I know. It's not.
I agree with you. Well, they're going to go to 18 here shortly, right?
They will. Yeah, they'll get rid of a preseason game probably next year, honestly, and they'll go to 2 preseason because these preseason games are a joke. No one's even playing in these things. So
no, especially week 3.
Yeah,
the first 2
weeks. Playing in week 3, you're not making the team.
Right.
Yeah.
The Jaguars it just felt uninspired last year, and I don't know how much of that is how long is Doug Peterson still mattering in a locker room? You know what I mean? First year, they needed someone to come in after Urban Meyer almost destroyed people's careers. I mean, not just his own.
Still employed. Where's he working?
Peterson, did the rah-rah thing, coached up Lawrence, got him to the AFC title game. And then this year just felt okay, yeah. And are they going to start to tune him out? I don't think it's he's on the hot seat yet, but I think he's one of those guys that could be close if this year doesn't end up in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But that said, I still have him at 9-8, like you said.
Yep.
The schedule.
I'm not betting that. There's no reason to bet that. There's no value. But yeah, they're going to win 9 or 8 games.
Agreed. Let's move over to the NFC South. Does any team win 10 games?
Yes.
Okay. Who is it?
I think Atlanta will win 10 games.
I think so too. Yep. So Atlanta is 9.5 is the over under. So we're both over.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy turnaround for them in 2 years.
What's that?
I said a crazy turnaround for them in 2 years. 2 years ago, we're having this discussion, and the over under maybe is 3.5, right?
I mean, that's what a 38-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury will do.
I have some thoughts on the Falcons. I have a lot of thoughts. I think they're one of the 5 most interesting teams in the league this year for a lot of reasons. One, are you getting the Cousins that you've been getting for the last 3-4 years, or are you getting a diminished Cousins? Nobody knows the answer to that. If you say that you do, you're lying. It's a coin flip, and that everything will feed off of that. So, Arthur Smith is gone, or they ran motion the least amount of any team in the preseason, which everybody freaked out about. But they didn't play any of these guys. They didn't play any of the starters. So, is that a scheme thing? Is that just like they're trying some stuff out?
They don't give anything away.
We don't know. So, coaching will play a big factor. Like, if Cousins is healthy and they're feeding London and Pitts and Bijan, that defense is good enough, and the rest of the division is so weak that all Cousins does is win 9-10 games.
Right.
With arguably a much better supporting cast than he's ever had, maybe equal to, if not definitely better than in Minnesota. I mean, obviously, JJ is better than London, but on the whole, they didn't have this many resources. So, I think it's a pretty easy over, honestly.
Yeah, they have a good offensive line. Sorry, Al.
I would have loved this storyline to come out that, JJ McCarthy goes down with a torn knee and Kirk Cousins is traded back to the Vikings after kind of a little hissy fit this offseason.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, dude, because nobody thinks Michael Penix is like some great thing, but he does one thing. So Gibby's always talking about Bo Nix. He doesn't turn the ball over. That's his elite trait. You know what Michael Penix's elite trait is? He gets the ball out in like 2 seconds. He doesn't take any sacks. So the minute they call the play, he runs through basically 2 reads, and that's it. He's going to one of them. He's basically Jameis.
How does that transfer to the NFL when defensive backs are much faster?
Not very well.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys who just chuck it like that and stay in the league and like get guys paid and get more contracts. Like
Derek Carr.
Jameis Winston. Why is Jameis Winston still in the league in a prominent position? Like, so I don't know. AB probably not well, but for like our fantasy purposes, if he ends up playing, he is going to hammer London with targets, and they're going to be high volume, high value targets, and so we can take advantage of that. We'll see.
Yeah, and they're another team that doesn't seem like they're scared to move off of assets to try and win now. Like they're going to get a home game in the playoffs. Yeah. They just signed Justin Simmons, Matthew Judon, who are in the top third at their positions, respectively, in the NFL. Like, and they got them for little. Like both of them, I think, combined like $10 million and a third-round pick, and you've got 2 studs. So
they had the most 2 years ago. They had the most dead money of any team on their books. Yeah. Last year, they got it down to the middle, and then this year they have almost none. So they just went, everybody's been – I don't love the Penix pick there. I think you could have done a lot better.
I agree.
The line or the defense. But they're in a position to succeed. And would it be that far-fetched if you look up at the end of the year and Atlanta's got 11 wins and they're in like a 3 seed? Like, would it really be that great? So,
I'd be rushing to bet against them in the wild card round. But I'm thrilled with it. All right, Atlanta. So where did you land, Al? Over, under?
Oh, over in that division.
Over. Carolina, 5.5 is the over, under. What do you have, Al?
I'm going to go under on these guys.
It's so sad.
Why are you sad? Why does it make you sad?
It's just, there's not much there to get excited about. I mean, there's Xavier Legette. How excited are you get?
Oh, the team or in Charlotte?
The team. Oh, okay. I mean, Carolina's a great place.
Yeah.
Think about how many of CMC's prime years were squandered there.
I know.
They got nothing for him. What? To me, it's going to come down to like, what is the coach's deal? Is he a weirdo or is he like actually brilliant? Did he have one good year last year? Like,
fixing Baker.
That dude is a coin flip. That could be a disaster. They could be picking first again. Because that roster is not very good.
It's not.
Who's the QB again? Is it the guy from the Jets?
Yeah. Bryce Young.
Arnold?
Oh, no, that's Bryce Young.
Bryce Young. Yeah. Bryce
Young. Minnesota. Darnold's in Minnesota.
Okay.
It's not a good team. And It's going to take some really good, like Kevin O'Connell type coaching to get what is basically a similar roster up to somewhere decent. And I don't know if Dave Canales is that guy or not yet. I think we'll get our answer pretty quickly because they've got New Orleans, the Chargers, Vegas, and Cincy to start the year. And if they're not competitive in any of those games, it ain't happening. So we'll see.
Yeah, they've got to win at least 2 out of those 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then
their closing stretch is brutal. They have a bye week, week 11, and then listen to this. Home to Kansas City, home against Tampa, to Philly, home against Dallas, home against Arizona, and then at Tampa and at Atlanta. They could lose all of those games very easily.
Arizona might be the only game that they have a chance.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
You're under.
Yep. Yeah, it's an under. Has to be.
I agree.
The responsible bet is an under.
I agree. You mentioned the Saints, 7.5. Over under, Matty.
Oh. Is this the you like the coach, and I think he's an idiot, right?
I disagree. I don't like the coach.
Oh, okay, different coach. I'm thinking of another one. Yeah, he's a moron. Everything he's done this offseason, he's like alienated the whole team. That team is also another candidate to be the number 1 pick. The number 1 pick is coming out of this division.
I agree with you.
I don't even know what the over-under is, but way under. This team is terrible.
7.5. I had him at 5.
Ugh, I don't even think I could get him to 4. It's an awful team. Awful team. So bad.
I'm under. There's nothing about this team for me to contribute or add to.
Yeah, I mean, how many screen passes to Kamara are we going to see?
How many positions is Taysom going to play?
All. He's going to actually be the only guy on the formation. He's going to just play by himself. They're going to put a statue up for him.
I like Olave as a receiver.
What week do they yank Carr and put in Rattler?
The week after Thanksgiving, the first week of December.
Oh, that's generous. I don't even think he makes it that long. People are going to talk themselves into Rattler. They're going to get all excited, and then they're going to find out he's Sam Howell. So disappointed.
Is that minus 148? The line.
If not
the
more.
popular opinion of Spencer Rattler.
Uh-huh. I see it every year. There's a couple quarterbacks, people do it, and they're like, he's the guy. And they saw one preseason game. I've seen a lot of Spencer Rattler in college, and he was not good in any of them. So I don't know why he imagine guys that are not good in college don't just show up in the NFL and go, I'm good now. I know how to play the sport. Like, it's not. But I'm along for the ride on that. There's some money to be made there.
So the Buccaneers, the last team in the South, 7.5. I went over, but I didn't love it. I just think one other team other than Atlanta has to win more than 7.5 games.
I'll go over with them just because I do have a little more excitement about their offense. And clearly that seems to be my focus right now. But they're clicking a little bit better last year than I expected them to.
5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 or 9 wins.
Yep. 7.5 is all you need.
It's a solid team. They got a good defense.
Yep.
Baker is exactly what he is. They got guys to get him the ball that he can get the ball to. And to AB's point, someone's got to win these games in this division. And
are both Godwin and White back?
Yeah.
Godwin's back. White's back. They got a rookie out of Washington.
The whole team's back. They ran it back. They ran back the divisional championship.
Run back that 10-win season.
It's all they have in Tampa, okay? It's a terrible place. We don't have any.
Do they even care in Tampa?
No. It's basically Cleveland of the South.
But at least Cleveland
Did
cares.
Baker just bring it down with him? I mean,
let's go NFC East, and we'll rifle through these bottom two. The Giants are 6.5. The Commanders are 6.5.
Gross, awful teams.
Well, I'm in Washington, so I'm going to go over.
The Giants are so bad.
Giants, I will never go over. I hate the Giants. They're the only team that I do not like. So
I'm assuming you're going under on both, Matty.
Watching their GM on Hard Knocks both reinforced that I could potentially be an NFL GM someday if I really,
I think
really aspire to it. But man, that's not a good team. It's so bad everywhere. It's so bad.
Very encouraging to the regional scouts on that Hard Knocks episode.
I didn't have faith in any of those guys. And maybe there's a world where they just went super vanilla with it because they didn't want to give anything away, which is kind of the purpose. Is that one they force you to do, or is the training camp one the one they forced?
The training camp one, the Bears had to do.
So they did this willingly, the Giants, which means it tells me they wouldn't have been like, all right, we'll do it, but we don't want to, so we're not going to give you anything. which now makes me feel even worse about their scouting department. None of those guys looked like they even know what football was.
It sounds like something the owner would agree to and then mandate to his staff.
Well, the owner was visibly upset when they couldn't re-sign Saquon Barkley. Like, he was like, and that's probably why they did Hard Knocks, because he was like, we have nothing attractive about this team right now.
They were kicking themselves. They couldn't sign him. And I'm watching all of these episodes like, let him go. Let him go. What are you doing? Like, they just the way they lucked out and Neighbors fell to them, but like they blew everything else. Like they don't have a quarterback to get on the ball. So
it could be a real disaster. They're another potential number one.
You could catch Dak there next year after he leaves Dallas. That's a spot he could go because you want to stick it to Dallas for all the years of them not like really buying, and he's got some guys there. Like that could happen. That's
interesting.
They could get out of Dan Jones's contract after this year with minimal cap.
Yeah, no, there's almost nothing left.
Yeah.
All right. So Washington, any notes there? I mean, Jaden Daniels will be fun.
He's going to get killed.
Exactly. But I think it'll take about like 6 weeks until he's missing 3 weeks and then he's back. And so I think it's going to be interesting.
Not going to be good. Won't be good.
They're not a bad team though. Like they're not as much of a mess as the Giants.
No,
they'll have them under 6.5, but I think it's right there at like 6.
They always have a player or two that I want to cram into a fantasy lineup because I just think it's going to hit based on sheer volume, and then it never does that week.
Terry.
So,
we play Terry, and
Terry
or to catch the ball, and he never gets anything.
The younger was always cheap, but
who's the younger guy? Oh, Dotson.
Yeah, he's gone.
They traded him to the team that we're about to talk about now, and he's not going to play there either. So we can ignore him. We can ignore him eternally.
The Eagles have been tough with me because I was holding on for dear life last year, even into the playoffs. I was like, all right, they're going to turn it around. They're a better team than this. And then I finally gave up, I think, by the time we got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But 10.5, I like what they did in the offseason. I mean, Roseman just keeps finding a new way to get better. So I went over.
What is it again? What's the number?
10.5.
Something doesn't feel right vibes-wise there. I just have felt all offseason like there's like I keep hearing these little stories keep coming out about how Hurts and they're not like on the same page and they're fighting behind the scenes and like who knows with that stuff, but something just seems off vibe-wise. That being said, they'll win 11 games and disappoint in the playoffs like they always do. So the earth keeps spinning.
They're trying so hard to hang on to the Jason Kelsey magic right now, like having him just a part of the organization without being a coach. Yeah. I personally am going to go under just because I still think they're a lot of the team from last year, and there's not a lot there. I saw a hot take on ESPN earlier, and it was somebody put them third in the division.
No, we got to get the season started.
That's insane. You're over Mary. Yeah, I mean, even losing Kelsey, who is one of the best centers, even at late in his career in the league, like they still have a loaded offensive line, and then their front seven is as good as anyone in football.
Losing a center matters for an offense like that.
It does, but I mean, they tabbed Juergens like 2 years ago to be the Kelsey replacement.
It's dangerous to tap
Juergens. Draft room. So he's not going to be the same, right? It's not going to be the same, but they're still a pretty loaded offensive line.
It's still a good team. It's too good of a team to fail, but I don't think they go anywhere. I think they'll be.
I agree. And then they got who is it? CJ Gardner-Johnson back.
Is he any good? I see his name all the time, and he always switches teams. But can he play?
He's a primetime player. Like he's going to play well on Sunday
night. Was that your first Berman? You just slipped a Berman in 24 minutes into the pod. That's a preseason move. I like that from you. Are you going to reprise your Berman?
The Berman nicknames of the week. I think they're coming back.
Okay, good.
No, DT here was Vital, Dick Vital.
Oh, you're right. It seems like something he would have stolen from Berman, though.
I think they met in Hawaii on the golf course.
They got together at the Maui Classic. All right, I stand corrected.
All right, we got the Cowboys also at 10.5.
Man, that is a poorly constructed team. Jerry Jones, classic Jerry Jones, waits till the very end to overpay at the top of the market. The last receiver who has just so stupid. These guys are so dumb. they're going to throw the ball a billion times, and they still have a pretty good defense, but they just lost their cornerback for 6-7 weeks, Bland, who was like, all he does is get burned or pick guys off. Who's your favorite old school, like last 10 years cornerback who was known? Was it Asante Samuel? Like either you're picking you off or he's getting burned. There's no in between.
Yeah, who was the guy? It was the guy.
I like the guy who played for Denver in Pats.
Talib.
Oh, thank you.
That was only like his last couple years. He was.
He could tackle. He stopped some people.
He should have moved to safety, like if he wanted to extend his career and played free safety and over the middle.
Yeah.
But their offense. It's so funny. Like you mentioned, the poorly constructed team. I keep looking at this every single year, and why don't they have like a real number 2 receiver? It just makes sense. And Dallas seems like it would be an attractive destination for a free agent and like all Jerry needs to do is pony up a little bit because there's no state income tax there. You're playing for like a hallmark franchise in professional sports, and they could use another wide receiver and they throw a ton, and you're just sending Brandon Cooks on fly routes.
They could have paid Lamb at the beginning of the offseason. Who got the first deal? Was it ASB, Jefferson? Who was the first guy that got it?
I think it was ASB.
So they could have given him the ASB deal, which if you look at, they basically cost themselves another like $15-20 million per season. They could have given him that deal and then gone and gotten a proper wide receiver to like free him up a little bit. But they don't know what they're doing. It's such a disaster. It's such a poorly run organization.
It is. That being said, I think they're going to win. Where did I have them at?
Yep.
Yeah, I have them at 12 wins.
Yep.
Just because their schedule, and they're going to win on Thanksgiving. Yep,
that's it. It's as simple as that. And then they'll lose in the playoffs right when the Eagles do.
To each other. AB, where are you at, bud?
I'm going to go over on them. I mean, this is the year I think they finally hit that over mark. I still don't think they'll win over one playoff game, but
I agree. All right. We're going to the AFC East. You guys start us off. Patriots, the line is at 4.5.
That's so low.
If it was anything else, I would be under immediately. But some of these you just might luck into by gameplay. I mean,
you could.
They're not.
I'm going to be a homer and go over personally.
You should.
They're not going to be as bad as people want them to be. Make him play. The line is not great. It could gel. It could get to the middle of the pack. They've got enough guys at receiver. They've got a good running back situation. The defense is okay, even though they just got rid of Judon. But the schedule is so brutal. I don't know. I mean, I see 1, 2, 3 games that wouldn't even really classify as – and they're toss-ups. There's just a lot. I don't think they get to 5. I think they win 4, 3 or 4. But it's going to be it's going to be one of those teams where you're like, oh, that was a pretty good 4 in whatever the hell the number is now, 12, 15. I don't even know.
I've had a few of those in
recent
years.
And it's true. Nobody wants to hear it, but it's the reality. Like the team plays pretty well, but like, how are they going to do against?
Yeah, so they're frisky. They're in games, right? And and they're doing the right things in terms of like personnel and bringing the draft picks and who they're re-signing. I looked at the first. I honestly wanted to try and make amends with Patriots fans out here and apologize for years.
Go bully someone else. All right.
Yeah.
You've been nothing but supportive of your Broncos.
That's all right. So we have, but I looked through the first 8 weeks and I was like, this is a tough 8 weeks. Like they're going to win a game or 2 in there, but
it's the hardest schedule in the league, percentage-wise, by like last year's record.
It's tough. So I had them under, but at 4 wins.
Honestly, I want them under. Don't give me 6 wins and get stuck with the number 5 pick. Get a number what you want. Perfect world. They're competitive all year. They win 2-3 games. They end up with a top 2 or 3 pick, and they can trade it to somebody who needs a quarterback. Pick up capital, linemen and cornerbacks. Whoever Gibby's number 1 CB is, we'll get that guy, and we'll get that lineman from LSU. Yes, probably. So that's what I want. Don't tank. Yeah. But don't worry about only winning 3 games. It's no big deal.
Right.
And don't rush starting Drake May.
I think that's probably out the window based off of what I'm hearing over there.
Yeah.
But who knows? Whatever. He'll be fine. He's good. He's not stationary back there. He knows how to get out of the pocket. He knows how to make plays. He'll keep himself upright.
He's had some real improvement in the last 2 weeks.
But he's built like a quarterback that can sustain some hits. It's just if it starts to get out of hand. The reason for is like give the offensive line 3 weeks to really gel once you figure out what your combination is, and then get May in. Once the offensive line's gelled a little bit, like
they've got two. Whatever you like, top linemen. They've got a center and they've got a Wenyu, and they got a rookie and another guy, and like they'll mix and match, and it won't be special, but just keep the guy alive is really all you need.
Right. Yeah, I agree. The highest line in this division belongs to the Buffalo Bills at 10.5 wins.
Really, still?
So that's the reaction I was expecting, and I think there's like it's weird. Because there's been this shift over the last few years now that Josh Allen is emerging and the Bills have been really competitive but flawed, where the Patriots fans are like, I think there's more hatred towards the Bills than there are like the Dolphins or the Jets. Is that accurate or more like disdain?
I hate the Giants more than anybody. I just want to continue that on record.
The Bills don't bother me.
I hate the Bills. I've just never been super impressed with them, and they always seem to fizzle like I expect them to.
The Bills don't bother me. The Dolphins don't bother me. The Jets don't even really bother me. Because in order for those teams to have bothered me, they would have had to have put up a fight sometime over the last 20 years, and they didn't. So, like, it's kind of like we want to see them have a little success. I think it's nice for them.
I think there's a little shifting of the tide now. Like, the Bills have run the division the last 3 years, and, but I don't know if it can be sustained. I don't think Josh Allen's going to be like a 38-year-old quarterback in the NFL. I think he might be like 32 or 33. It just takes too much of a beating, but –
I mean, the team is just not the nuts and bolts of the team is not constructed very well.
Yeah,
I can't name two of their receivers right now.
It's not good. Rookie, they got Curtis Samuel, who I think is hurt already.
Khalil Shakir,
people like.
Yeah, he started coming up a little bit last year, but nothing super impressive.
Couple running backs. The defense is like, I think it's already, unless I'm thinking of another team, I think the defense has already lost half of the starting lineup. Like Milano's hurt again.
Milano's hurt. DeMar Hamlin's alive, but he's questionable.
He's questionable. He's questionable for the rest of life.
He brought Ghost back with him, though.
Yeah, I don't think he's a hologram, but
no. It's not a good team. I think the Vegas isn't. Don't the Jets have the best odds to win that division?
I think they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but the line is the highest. So I think it's, I think it's just strength of schedule. It's not too bad, but. Yeah, I mean, everything's got to go right. And also, I think it's just money on Josh Allen having an MVP year. Is what people are thinking.
Yeah.
I went over, but right at 11.
It's a lot of wins. I mean, but that division is not great either. So, oh, man. I'm going under. I don't think that team has the vibes either. Feels very Eagles-y to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
I agree.
Speaking of vibes, I mean, the meme is out all over the place with what happens when you go to Miami with Josh McDaniels.
Mike McDaniels.
We got a lot of McDaniels. It's tough. There's a lot to keep track of.
It's brilliant. So the Dolphins line is 9.5. I went over with 11 wins. I had them tied with the Bills, actually. My thought is they're just going to be able to score during the regular season. And they can play enough defense, and playing in Miami in September for a visiting team is a problem.
I'm on the over. I like the team.
The Dolphins unceremoniously parted ways with my main man Davs this year, so I am no longer supporting them. So I'm just taking the under in solidarity.
Okay, fair enough.
The other thing that we got to worry about is Tua's brain staying intact. Right, if he goes down by week 6, they're done.
He's the good point. He's the kind of guy that once he gets paid, I'm actually more worried about him.
Ooh,
because now he's like it's guaranteed. He's got guaranteed cash for the next 2-3 years. He's good. So like he may take some more chances. He may be a little bit less, and like that's what I don't want him doing because he's better when he's in the pocket. Quick couple reads, get the ball out. Like get the ball out to one of those receivers. And they got a guy in the draft this year who's got spice, who's going to play because OBJ didn't come off PUP. This kid out of Virginia. So I think they'll win some games just because of that. But Tua might be taking some. He might be taking some risks. Putting himself through that brain.
And they're going to have these guys come back. Chubb, Jalen Phillips, like they're going to come back throughout the season. They brought in Calais Campbell too. I know they lost. Who is it? To the
Baker.
No, to the
Van Ginkel.
No, was to the Raiders, the defensive lineman.
Wilkins.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So no, I think the offense is too much fun too, and you just added Jalen Wright, who averaged like 7.8 yards per touch last year at Tennessee. So,
I mean, you could see some offenses with Waddle and Tyreek and both Wright and A-Chain out there at the same time, and it's like,
yeah.
The hell are you going to do? You got to play like dime and hope your cornerbacks can just keep up with them. Like it's not going to be, but they'll lose to teams that just run over them. So that'll be their thing.
Last team in the division, the Jets. Over under is 9.5.
I don't see how we can go over on a team that hasn't had their quarterback play more than one series with them.
Yeah,
I agree.
However, what, 40 now? 41?
He's an alien though. There's like something.
Yeah.
He's not a normal human. So I don't know what he's into there, right? He's hanging out with RFK. I don't know what those guys are up to.
He was almost his running mate. I mean, I thought the Jets were going to lose him to VP, but
those guys are nuts. Life doesn't matter to them anymore. They're playing a very different game. So I don't know. He could be, if that O-line keeps him stationary and he can just park back there and pump balls, they'll win a bunch of games because that defense, I believe, Gibby, correct me if I'm wrong, is very spicy.
It got better than last year. And their starting quarterback last year is now the third string quarterback on a professional football team. So I
watched him throw a pass directly into a lineman's chest.
Oh God, yeah, it was like second attempt, but then he threw like a 46-yard bomb 2 plays later,
and he's gonna stay in the league just because of that for a few.
Oh yeah, years. I mean he's got you can see it, but both sides. But yeah, I mean their defense is good enough to win 8 games. We saw it last year, and Rodgers just needs to win 3. And Garrett Wilson can go up. Breece Hall is 2 years out from ACL injury. I think this is a scary team, and if they stay healthy and Rodgers can bring in Devontae Adams or whatever one of his buddies, Randall Cobb, might be a moot point, but bring them in, late in the season, they could make some noise in the playoffs.
I've seen a bunch of highlights from the practices of Rodgers and Wilson's chemistry together, and they're just like playing out there against that look defense.
Yeah. He's going to use them just like he used Adams for all those years. Wilson is an elite. He's good at everything. Like he's going to have 150. They're going to pepper him with targets. So I think they will be good. I agree with all that you said. And that's a good way of looking at it, Gibby. I think Breece Hall has a disappointing, quote unquote, like fantasy year.
I agree.
Because they got to keep him healthy. And they got a kid in the draft from Wisconsin, Braylon Allen, who was one of my 3 favorite running backs in this draft. Wisconsin knows what they're doing with running backs, and he was good. He does it all, and he's been crushing it in camp. So I think they mix him in a bunch, keep Hall healthy, they'll pass the ball around. They're going to play slow. They're not going to run a bunch of plays, and they're just going to feed the same couple of guys, and they're going to keep guys healthy and try to just get into the playoffs and see what happens there. So yeah, I think they win the division. It's crazy to think, but I think they probably will.
Yeah, I think they just need their offense to be top 20 in the league and they win. But yeah, before we wrap up, Alex, think about your Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, we need it.
We need it
right now.
Yeah, we need it right now. AFC, NFC, and who wins?
49ers again. Probably Houston.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that's fun.
You know what? Let's just get spicy. I'm going to go Houston.
That could be a fun week in Columbus, or fun month in Columbus. You've got Ohio State, and then CJ Stroud comes back with a Super Bowl title.
This is an Ohio State podcast for sure. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, sponsored by the Buckeyes.
We're all in. Wherever he goes and wherever KJ moves, we're moving too. We're going with him. So pack it up. So
get ready. after this drops, you'll be able to vote on your own over and unders through our stories. You'll see those over the next week and a half, and then delightfully greeted by 3 guys about to win $1 million next week. So look for that and some more guests coming up this fall. But everyone enjoy Labor Day weekend and get your over under bets in.
Don't let us down.